Today I will reveal to you the great secret: how to step into the state where fortune is inevitable, where wealth is not something you wait for, but something that you already are. There is a moment when all uncertainty vanishes, when the struggle of questioning ceases, and you stand in the presence of an unshakable truth. This moment arrives not after the manifestation has materialized, but before it. It is the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the signal that what has been claimed in consciousness must externalize itself in form. The world teaches that belief follows proof, that one must see before knowing, but the law is precisely the opposite. To the one who understands, the manifestation is never a question of if, only when. And the moment of certainty is the most faithful messenger of what is to come. It is not a forced conviction, not an act of willpower, but a quiet and effortless knowing that needs no validation from the external world. Everything begins in the unseen. The seed does not doubt the tree it will become. It does not question whether it is planted in fertile soil, nor does it beg the earth for evidence of its growth. The seed simply knows. The moment a desire is claimed in imagination, it is planted, and the proof of its inevitable emergence is not seen in the outer world but felt within. There is no need to ask when or how, no urge to seek signs or confirmations, because the greatest sign has already arrived: the shift within. This is the difference between one who merely wishes and one who manifests. A wish is uncertain, it wavers with circumstance, it is swayed by doubt, and it looks to the external world for permission to believe. But true manifestation begins with absolute inner certainty. It is the deep awareness that what has been assumed is already set in motion. No longer does one rely on effort, for effort belongs to the realm of struggle. Instead, there is only ease, because the work has been done where it matters most: in consciousness. To those who do not understand the law, this certainty appears irrational. They say, "How can you be so sure when you have no proof?" But they do not realize that proof follows certainty, not the other way around. The world is but a shadow cast by the light of assumption. What is accepted as true in the inner realm must eventually solidify in the outer. The moment certainty is reached, the manifestation is as good as done, for the external world has no choice but to mirror it in time. The greatest mistake is to look outward for validation. Those who do so remain trapped in an endless cycle of doubt, swayed by appearances, believing in chance rather than law. They check, they hope, they wonder. But hope is the opposite of knowing. Hope implies uncertainty, and uncertainty delays manifestation. There is no need to convince, no need to persuade, no need to force belief. True knowing is effortless. It is the quiet confidence of one who has already received, though the world has yet to acknowledge it. It is the feeling of ownership before the evidence has arrived. It is walking through life with the calm assurance that the unseen is more real than the seen. To reach this state, one must discard doubt, as if it never existed. Doubt is not to be battled or argued with. It is simply to be ignored. There is no need to entertain it, no need to wrestle with thoughts of failure. The truth is simple. What is imagined and accepted as true in consciousness must externalize itself. The process requires nothing more than persistence in the assumption. Certainty is not loud. It does not demand. It does not seek reassurance. It is the still, unwavering feeling that one already possesses that which they have claimed. It is the absence of striving, the end of resistance, the quiet satisfaction that comes when the mind is at rest in its assumption. Those who have mastered the law do not concern themselves with time. They do not ask whether something will take days, weeks, or months. To them, it has already happened. The fact that the outer world has not yet caught up is irrelevant, for they understand that time is merely the unfolding of what has already been established within. They do not rush, for there is nothing to rush toward. They do not question, for there is nothing left to question. They know, and that is enough. The world will always attempt to impose its logic, to tell you that certainty without evidence is foolishness. But the world speaks only to those who do not understand that it is a reflection, not a cause. When the inner shift has occurred, when the certainty has taken root, the external must conform. And so, to one who truly manifests, the only question that remains is not whether the desire will come to pass, but whether they will accept it as theirs now. The moment they do, they need nothing more. The search ends, for they have found what they were looking for, not in the world but within. There comes a time when the external world begins to echo the assumptions held within. What was once confined to the imagination starts to emerge in the most unexpected places, revealing itself in symbols, numbers, conversations, and chance encounters. But these are not coincidences, nor are they random events. They are the inevitable ripples of an assumption solidifying into form. The outer world is a mirror, a faithful reflection of what has been established in consciousness. To those who understand the law, nothing in their experience is without meaning, for everything seen and heard is an echo of the unseen reality taking shape. The signs that appear, whether they be repeating numbers, familiar words spoken by strangers, or images encountered unexpectedly, are not mere accidents. They are the language of the unseen, the whispers of the universe, confirming that what has been claimed is already set in motion. There are those who look for signs in desperation, believing that if they can find proof in the outer world, it will grant them permission to believe. But this is not how the law works. The one who manifests does not chase signs, for signs are not causes, they are effects. They do not create reality, they reveal that reality has already been created. The difference is subtle, yet profound. To seek signs as a means of reassurance is to admit uncertainty, and uncertainty delays. But to recognize signs as confirmations of what is already done is to remain steadfast in the assumption, knowing that the external must align with the inner. Repeating numbers are one of the most common signals that consciousness is in harmony with assumption. Patterns such as 111, 222, 777 or 888 appear not because they hold magic in themselves, but because they are reflections of the subconscious mind at work. These numbers are glimpses into the unseen, reminders that alignment has been reached. They serve as quiet affirmations that movement is happening beneath the surface, that the bridge of incidents leading to manifestation is already unfolding. Beyond numbers, there are words and phrases that seem to appear with unusual frequency. A person may overhear conversations about winning, see articles or headlines about sudden wealth, or even receive unexpected messages that mirror their desire. These are not mere coincidences. They are reflections of the state assumed. The mind, having accepted the wish as fulfilled, now filters reality through that assumption, drawing attention to anything that affirms what is already known within. To dismiss these occurrences as chance is to misunderstand the nature of reality. Nothing appears without cause, and the cause is always within. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. If repeating signs and symbols are appearing in the external world, they are doing so because the subconscious has impressed upon reality the assumption of their meaning. The key is not to seek them, but to recognize them when they arrive, not as something to be grasped for reassurance, but as evidence of the unseen process already at work. When such signs appear, there is no need to react with excitement or doubt. Excitement, if born from relief, can imply previous disbelief, and disbelief delays manifestation. Instead, let these signs be acknowledged with calm certainty. They do not need to be questioned or analyzed, for their meaning is clear. They are reflections, nothing more, nothing less. They are gentle reminders that assumption is shaping reality. Those who understand the law walk through life with the awareness that everything around them is an outpicturing of their inner state. If something appears repeatedly in their external world, it is because it has already been established in consciousness. The question is never whether manifestation is happening, for it is always happening. The only question is whether the assumption being reflected is one of desire fulfilled or one of longing and doubt. To the one who truly knows, signs become unnecessary. The manifestation is already accepted as real, and the outer world is merely catching up to the inner conviction. Whether numbers appear, whether conversations align, whether images and words reflect the desire or not, it does not matter. The outcome has already been determined. Signs may appear as a natural result of alignment, but they are not needed. There is no need to ask what a particular sign means, for all signs are simply reflections. They are evidence of what has already been done in consciousness. The only task is to persist in the assumption, to live as though the wish is fulfilled, and to know that reality is already shifting in response. The world cannot help but reflect what has been impressed upon it. The law is exact, and the signs are simply its confirmation. The subconscious mind speaks in symbols, in impressions, and in the language of dreams. What the conscious mind may overlook, the subconscious reveals through images and sensations that often go unnoticed by those who do not understand the nature of reality. Dreams are not meaningless. They are messages, previews of what is being shaped in the unseen. They serve as glimpses into the state assumed, reflecting the very essence of what has been accepted as true. Nothing exists in the external world that has not first been imagined. Before anything materializes, it must pass through the formless realm of thought and assumption. The subconscious mind, being the creative power behind all expression, reveals through dreams what has been impressed upon it. And when one dreams of already possessing their desire, it is an unmistakable sign that the assumption has taken root. It is no longer a question of whether the manifestation will appear, but only a matter of when. A dream is never to be dismissed as random, for nothing is random. Every image, every scene experienced in sleep carries meaning, for the subconscious mind is incapable of producing anything that is not in harmony with the state accepted within. When a person dreams of their desires, not as something distant, but as something already attained, it is a clear reflection that the mind has moved beyond mere wishing and into knowing. This is a powerful indication that the world is beginning to shift, that the unseen is preparing to solidify into form. There is a fundamental difference between dreaming of longing and dreaming of possession. Many people dream of what they desire, yet the feeling within the dream is one of chasing, of lack, of something just out of reach. This is simply the mind revealing the state of wanting, which is a state of absence. But when one dreams of already having, of living within the fulfillment of their wish, they are receiving confirmation that the subconscious has accepted this as their reality. And what the subconscious it must express. It is often said that dreams are reflections of daily life, but this is only partly true. More accurately, dreams reflect the deepest convictions of the subconscious, regardless of whether the conscious mind acknowledges them. This is why a shift in assumption often results in a shift in dreams. What was once a distant hope transforms into an experience so vivid and real that upon waking, there is an undeniable sense that the event has already happened. And in truth it has, at least in the only place where creation begins, within the imagination. This is why those who understand the law do not disregard their dreams, nor do they attempt to force them. They recognize that dreams are indicators of the state assumed, that they are projections of the mind's inner workings. If a dream reveals that one is still struggling, still chasing, then it is an invitation to refine the assumption, to fully accept that the wish is already fulfilled. And if the dream confirms possession, if it is experienced with the naturalness of reality, then there is nothing more to do but trust that the process is unfolding exactly as it should. There is no need to analyze or seek hidden meanings beyond what is obvious. The feeling within the dream is the key. If the dream aligns with fulfillment, if it is experienced as real, as natural, as unquestioned, then it is a powerful confirmation that the subconscious is in agreement with the desired outcome. And once the subconscious has fully accepted something as true, the external world must arrange itself to reflect that truth. The process is already underway, whether one is aware of it or not. Dreams, therefore, are not to be feared nor dismissed, but to be recognized for what they are, glimpses into the unfolding reality. They are not the cause of manifestation, but rather a reflection of what is already in motion. When the dream shifts from lack to fulfillment, it is one of the clearest signs that the manifestation is imminent. There is nothing left to force, nothing left to question, only the quiet assurance that what has been assumed in imagination must now become fact in the external world. There is a moment when the external world begins to shift, when the reality once accepted as fixed starts bending to the unseen power that has already moved within. Those who understand the law know that the change always begins internally. Before anything is altered in the outer world, something must first be stirred within, and the first indication that manifestation is drawing near is a sudden and undeniable sense of detachment from the old state. This detachment is not something forced. It is not the result of effort or discipline, nor is it the product of consciously trying to let go. Instead, it arrives naturally, effortlessly. What once felt so urgent, so consuming, so necessary to attain, now feels as though it has already been handled. There is no longer the same emotional charge, no longer the desperate longing that once accompanied the desire, the need to constantly affirm, to check for progress, to wonder when and how. All of it dissolves, replaced by a quiet confidence that what was once sought has already been received. This is one of the greatest signs that manifestation is near. The state of wish fulfilled has been fully accepted, and because of this, the desire no longer feels distant. It no longer feels like something to be grasped for, but something that already belongs to the individual. There is no more chasing, no more questioning. The emotional attachment to the previous state of lack disappears, and in its place is an effortless ease, a knowing that reality has already conformed. To those who have not yet understood this principle, such detachment may seem like indifference, as though the desire has been forgotten or no longer matters. But this is not so. The desire has not been abandoned, it has been absorbed. It has moved from the realm of seeking to the realm of being. No longer does one feel the need to struggle toward it, for it has already been internalized as a fact of experience. This is the precise moment when reality begins to reflect the shift. The great mistake many make is believing that detachment must be achieved through effort, that one must struggle to let go in order to manifest. But effort belongs to the realm of resistance, and what is resisted persists. True detachment is not something one must will themselves into. It happens naturally as a result of assuming the wish fulfilled. The mind no longer fixates on the desire because in its understanding the desire is already met. There is no need to look for evidence because the evidence is already felt within. This is why those who truly manifest are often surprised when their desire materializes, not because they doubted, but because they had already accepted it as real within themselves. By the time the outer world catches up, they have already moved past the desire, having lived in the state of fulfillment for so long that its external arrival is simply a natural next step. They do not react with shock or disbelief, for the fulfillment was already experienced inwardly. Many misunderstand detachment, believing it means they must stop caring about their desire. But true detachment is not about indifference, it is about certainty. It is about reaching a place where one no longer feels the need to question, where the desire no longer feels separate from the self. The moment this state is reached, the external world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the inner conviction. The law is exact, and the outer world is but a mirror of the inner state. The one who walks in fulfillment does not need to check for results. They do not need to wonder if their desire is coming, for they know it is already theirs. Their detachment is not a practice, but a byproduct of their inner reality. They have moved beyond longing, beyond hoping, beyond waiting. They live as though the desire is already a present fact, and because of this, it must become one. The world has no power to contradict the assumption that has been fully accepted. The change in feeling is the greatest confirmation that manifestation is at hand. When the urgency fades, when the need to see results disappears, when the desire feels like a natural extension of one's being rather than something to be obtained, the process is complete. The subconscious has accepted the new reality, and the outer world must reflect it in kind. This is the law, and it cannot fail. There is a shift that takes place when the unseen begins to move into form. The external world, which once seemed rigid and unchangeable, starts to bend in response to the assumption that has been impressed upon consciousness. Suddenly, the path forward is no longer obstructed. What once seemed distant or unlikely begins unfolding with a sense of effortlessness, as if unseen hands are orchestrating events in perfect harmony. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is the natural order of manifestation revealing itself. The world is but a mirror, reflecting the assumptions held within. Once a desire has been fully accepted as real, once it has been claimed as an inner certainty, everything necessary for its fulfillment must be arranged. The mind, having shifted from doubt to knowing, now experiences the external world as an extension of this new reality. Doors open where once there were walls. The right people, the right circumstances, and the right opportunities arise without force, without struggle. It is as if reality itself is yielding, making way for that which has already been established within. Many call this serendipity or divine intervention, but it is neither random nor outside of one's control. It is the direct and lawful expression of what has been assumed. There is no such thing as coincidence. Nothing happens by chance. The world is responding at all times to the convictions of the subconscious mind. When the inner world has changed, when the feeling of the wish fulfilled has been accepted, the outer world must conform. It cannot do otherwise. Those who do not understand this law believe that effort and struggle are required to make things happen. They push, they force, they attempt to manipulate circumstances, believing that the harder they try, the more likely they are to succeed. But effort belongs to the realm of resistance. That which is truly assumed needs no force. It flows. The moment one stops trying to control the how and instead abides in the certainty of already having, the path becomes clear, the pieces fall into place. That which once seemed impossible becomes the most natural thing in the world. It is often said that the universe conspires to bring one's desires to fruition. But this is not entirely accurate. The universe is not an outside force working independently. It is a reflection, an extension of one's inner state. What appears as external alignment is simply the world reshaping itself to match what has been claimed within. The subconscious mind, having impressed the new reality upon itself, now moves everything necessary into position. This is why the greatest action is always internal. The only real work is in assuming the state of already being the one who possesses the desire. The rest follows automatically. Obstacles that once seemed immovable begin to dissolve. People who were once distant suddenly become allies. Opportunities that were previously hidden reveal themselves in the most unexpected ways. This is not chance. This is the law in action. The path was always there, but it remained unseen because the assumption was not yet in alignment with it. The moment the inner shift occurs, the way forward is revealed. There is no need to wonder whether things are happening. They are always happening. The world is always shifting in response to the assumptions held within. The only question is whether one is assuming the wish fulfilled or assuming its absence. The outer world does not decide, it simply reflects. When the assumption is firm, when it is lived in as though it were already fact, the world moves accordingly. The changes may come subtly, gradually, or they may appear suddenly in a single, undeniable event. But come they must, for the world has no choice but to obey the conviction impressed upon it. The path of least resistance is the natural path of manifestation. It is not about forcing outcomes, but about allowing them to unfold. The one who truly understands this law does not need to question whether their desire is on its way. They know it is done, and because of this knowing, the way forward appears effortlessly. That which was once sought now seeks them. That which once seemed distant now moves closer. What was once imagined now stands before them, undeniable and real. The process is complete, not because something external has changed, but because something internal has, and as within, so without. There is a moment when the world begins to speak, not in the usual language of words and actions, but in the subtle whispers of alignment. A phrase overheard in passing, a sentence spoken by a stranger, a sudden and unexpected mention of the very thing that has been assumed. These are not mere accidents. They are echoes of the unseen moving into form, confirmations that what has been impressed upon the mind is now finding its way into the external world. Words and conversations are not separate from the creative process. The world is a mirror, and what is reflected in speech and sound is simply a confirmation of what has already been assumed within. The mind, having accepted the reality of the desire fulfilled, now draws to itself external reflections of that assumption. A person may overhear discussions about sudden wealth, read about someone experiencing an unexpected financial windfall, or find themselves engaged in conversations that align perfectly with their desire. These are not random occurrences. They are the direct result of consciousness shifting. Many dismiss such moments as coincidence, failing to recognize the deeper significance of what is unfolding. But to those who understand the nature of reality, these occurrences are clear signs that manifestation is drawing near. They are evidence that the inner world has already begun to express itself outwardly, that the unseen has started taking shape. The subconscious, once fully impressed with an assumption, begins to reorganize reality in such a way that even the words spoken around a person reflect that new state. This is why awareness is crucial. The one who understands the law does not brush aside these moments, nor do they look for them in desperation. They simply recognize them when they appear, acknowledging them as natural confirmations of what is already in motion. The external world must always arrange itself to align with what is held as true internally. Conversations and words are no exception. They too are part of the great unfolding, part of the bridge of incidents leading toward full realization. There is a subtle shift that occurs when a person's assumption has been fully accepted. They no longer feel the need to control or force external events. Instead, they find themselves surrounded by the very essence of what they have claimed within. They hear their own inner convictions echoed back to them through others. The world begins to reflect their inner certainty in ways that seem effortless, as if reality itself is adjusting to accommodate the state assumed. It is not necessary to seek out these signs, for they will appear naturally. The moment one is truly living from the end, external reflections must follow. The key is not to react with excitement or anxiety, but to acknowledge them with quiet confidence. These confirmations are not the manifestation itself, but simply indications that the process is unfolding exactly as it should. They are reminders that the assumption has taken hold, and that the outer world is in the midst of rearranging itself accordingly. Those who do not yet understand the law may dismiss these moments as meaningless. They may hear conversations that perfectly align with their desire, yet fail to recognize the significance. But the one who knows understands that nothing happens by chance. Every word, every encounter, every seemingly trivial conversation is part of a greater movement, part of the outpicturing of an inner state. When the world begins to reflect the assumption through the words and voices of others, it is one of the clearest signs that reality is shifting. To hear others speak of the very thing that has been impressed upon the mind is to receive confirmation that the process is underway. These moments are not to be questioned, nor are they to be clung to in an attempt to force manifestation. They are simply acknowledgments from the external world that what has been claimed is already taking form. When the assumption is firm, when the desire is lived in as though it were already true, The world has no choice but to reflect it back in every way, including through the conversations and words of those around us.